iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Everyone, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, we're going to get to our Philadelphia Philly podcast. Philadelphia Philly preview podcast. Get some 4Ps in there. But before, I want to get to some injuries. I want to get to some things that are going on. 3 major injuries I want to talk about. Maybe a 4th, but certainly 3. 1, Jason Kipnis. Shut down for the next couple of weeks. If you are a member of Scout Fantasy and you saw my preseason pro picks, I said to stay away from whom? Jason Kipnis. He's got a tear in his rotator cuff. These are not, and they said shoulder strain, it's rotator cuff. So every time he throws the baseball, it's going to be a problem. Secondly, every time he slides head first, it's going to be a problem. There's going to be problems here. So, I'm not a big fan of Jason Kipnis, as it were. I think to go from 6 home runs to 9 to 23 is a huge, huge jump. I don't know whether that was just the fact that everybody hit home runs last year or he did, but I'm not in this year. I'm staying very far away. Very far away, because I think this is the kind of player who can be shut down. And if they're going to shut him down, it may be soon. Because they might, if it's possible to get him back. See, there's 2 things. They shut him down now. Hopefully he comes back in September and he plays in the playoffs. Because the Indians have to think that they're going to make the playoffs. Or B, if the injury is going to keep him out 6 to 9 months, they see how long they possibly can go without having to shut him down. But either way, I think this guy gets shut down, and I want no part of it. Secondly, Anthony DeScalfani. Feels more elbow tenderness. Try a little tenderness. Oh man, this is not good. This is not good. He was already feeling tenderness. They shut him down. They brought him back. It's up back again. I mean, this just can't be good. At some point, I expect him to end up at some doctor's office where we hear Tommy John surgery. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for that moment to happen. I think it's going to happen pretty soon. It's definitely going to happen. Here's another one, and I hate these injuries. Hate them. Ian Desmond diagnosed with a fracture in his left hand, hit by a pitch. I hate those injuries. The guy's at the plate, the ball's coming 98 miles an hour. He can't get away in enough time. The ball hits his hand. You put a ball like that on your hand, you're bound to break it. It's a rough injury. Now, this came up this morning on our show. A fracture is better than a wrist injury, right? If I hear wrists sap power. Fractures heal. They take time, but they heal. Wrists don't heal as well, and wrists sap power. So I am more worried about a wrist injury than a fractured hand, but I don't know exactly where it is yet. We'll have to find out more information. Am I worried about Ian Desmond? Yes. Do they know how long he'll be out? No, I think we'll find out later. My guess is 6 to 8 weeks. That's my guess. We'll see if I'm right. Gerardo Parra becomes way more interesting. Way more interesting. He was already going to play in the outfield because David Dahl's not 100%. My comment was this. When Dahl is healthy, they'll move Parra somewhere, maybe to first base, and they'll have Dahl, Blackmon, and Gonzalez in the outfield. Originally, I thought that Dahl was going to be out until probably around the first week of April, right? And I think that they were going to be very careful and very patient and make sure he's fine. But now that Desmond might be out, I think it might accelerate Dahl a week or two. I'm not saying a month. I'm just saying it might accelerate him just a drop. That would be my expectation. Here's another injury. How about A.J. Pollock? with a groin strain, man, I hear the word A.J. Pollock and injured, and I just start to cringe. I'm like, oh, no, not again. Please, not again. How many years can you screw me, A.J. Pollock? But I think we're going to be okay here. It's not an elbow. It's not a shoulder. So we should be okay with a couple of days off in spring training. All right, let's move now to our Philadelphia Phillies podcast preview. Let's start it out at catcher with Cameron Rupp. I like Cameron Rupp. I do. If you look at Cameron Rupp's numbers, right, and you put it next to, let me do it this way. I'm going to put it next to a guy. I'm going to give you player A and player B. I like doing this. And a lot of times I think we get a lot of information this way. Okay, player A hits 258, 15 home runs, 60 RBIs, 53 runs scored, and no stolen bases. Player B hits 249, 15 home runs, 55 RBIs, 45 runs, and 0 stolen bases. Player A was Stephen Vaught, and player B was Cameron Rupp. Were they that different? Seriously, were they majorly different? 5 RBIs, 10 runs scored? But yet always Stephen Vaught will go 3, 4, 5 rounds ahead of Cameron Rupp. So yes, I like Cameron Rupp way more than other people do. He doesn't suck. He's not great. I'm not telling you he's great, but I don't think he sucks. Tommy Joseph is going to get the first crack at first base. He was a very good minor league hitter for the team. They really liked his upside. He'd been clubbing the ball all over the place. Last year he was hitting 347 in AAA with 6 home runs and 95 at-bats. You got to bring the guy up, and they did. Ryan Howard is gone. This is Tommy Joseph's position, at least for this year. They do have a first baseman on the horizon, and his name is Rhys Hoskins. This dude hit 38 home runs and 116 RBIs in Double-A. He's not ready yet, but he's coming. He's on his way, Hoskins. He's coming. But I think Tommy Joseph gets every opportunity in the world to win this job outright and to play well. And I'm going to take my shot on him because I think he's a big boy who can really hit home runs in that park. I like him. Secondly, Cesar Hernandez. This is a guy who I thought would have been better last year than he was. Now, he didn't suck, but I even thought he would be better. He had 294, 6 home runs, 39 RBIs, 67 runs scored, and 17 stolen bases. But I would tell you, if I look at his games, he started out very poorly, right? His average was, he got to a rut in June, July, and he finally started to hit a little bit in July. It was like May, June, July. He really wasn't producing if you look at the game logs. But then he stepped it up, and he made a lot of mental mistakes on the base paths. This is a guy who can steal 30 bases. He's pretty good in the field. He can steal 30 bases. Will he? I don't know, but he's capable of it. He's capable of it. So I want to give him a little uptick. Not a major one, a slight one. I don't hate him. At shortstop, Freddie Galvis comes in last year and hits 20 home runs. In his career before that, in 4 years, he had hit 20 home runs. So, wow. You want to talk about the steroid era. I'm not saying Freddie's doing anything, but hey, you don't go from 20 home runs in 4 years to 20 home runs in a year. That's pretty crazy stuff. He is a stopgap, okay? Freddie Galvis is a stopgap for J.P. Crawford. Now, J.P. Crawford proved last year that he's not ready yet. He's getting closer, but he's not ready yet. He's only 21, 22 this year, and he only had 244 last year at AAA. So I think, once again, the Phillies will give Galvis a very long leash, at least till the All-Star break, before they consider. So Crawford would have to be very hot and Galvis very cold for there to be a change before the All-Star break. It could even go later than that. Michael Franco, man, this guy can hit. This guy's a hitter. He was pulling the ball a lot. I think that he's going to pull the ball a little bit less this year, try to work the ball to all fields. I think the problem with Franco is he's trying to hit a home run every time. And you can't do that. He's a good hitter who I think could be a great hitter. He's only 24 years old. He's a big, strong dude. He should be having 25, 30 home runs, 95 RBIs every year if he just starts to go with the pitch and don't pull everything. Right? Bad hitters pull. Good hitters go with the pitches. I think he should be able to do that. We'll have to watch, but I've got my eyes on Franco. Like him. Odubel Herrera is one of my favorite players. Now, back in 2015, nobody knew who this guy was but Dr. Roto. And I took him in like 47th round of an NFBC league, which we ended up winning. And my partner's like, who? I said, just trust me. Odubel Herrera. Let's get him on the team. I had to like twist his arm 17 different ways. And when he came up, he could really hit righties. Now last year, he played a little bit more against lefties. He still doesn't do that much against lefties. He still doesn't do it. But he takes a lot of walks. He gets on base. I mean, 361 is pretty good. He's got to learn to hit southpaws better. Got to learn to hit southpaws better. But could get 10 to 20 home runs, 20 to 30 stolen bases. This is a 5-category player. I mean, not a great 5-category guy, but he's a borderline 5-category player. If he could learn to hit lefties, he'd be a top 20 outfielder. As it is, he's pretty close. So keep your eye on Herrera. Now, the other two outfield positions are kind of, disgusting. Howie Kendrick is still chugging along. I mean, he's far from the days back in like 2010, 2011 where he was a premier second baseman. Now he's a journeyman to me. You know how it's like in boxing. You ever notice that old titleists lose and then they like bounce around and they get a lot of fights and then they go up and down divisions searching for money? That's Howie Kendrick. He's like searching for money because he can't keep a full-time job. He'll be with the Phillies this year, and then next year he'll be with the Marlins, and then next year he'll be with the Mets, and he'll just bounce around because he doesn't suck, but he doesn't do anything really well. In right field, you have Michael Saunders. Now, Michael Saunders could get injured going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I mean, seriously. This is probably one of the top talented players who just can never stay healthy. So the Phillies signed him. The Phillies signed Kendrick. But I think the true guys here are Aaron Alter, who's only 26 years old. He was injured last year, right? He tore a tendon in his wrist. But I think this is the kind of guy that can hit 10 home runs and steal 10 bases and be decent. And a guy named Roman Quinn, who's a very young, speedy guy. There's a spot for him in an outfield. Maybe even as early on as the beginning of this year, where he could be like a fifth outfielder. But I think that he stays down in the minors and he comes up at some point. So you've got Kendrick, Herrera, and Saunders to start the year. But if you ask me to project 4 months from now, I'm going to go Quinn, Alter, Herrera. That's going to be your outfield. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. Right? Because I just don't think that Saunders and Kendrick are the guys. They're certainly not. All right, let's take a look at the pitching staff. Jeanmar Gomez is the closer, whatever. Jeanmar Gomez is just not my guy. I mean, he may be your guy, he's not my guy. When you let up more hits and innings pitched, when you have a strikeout to walk ratio of 2-1, you're not my guy. My guy is Hector Neris, who I think is really good. 59 hits in 80 innings, 102 strikeouts to 30 walks, more than a K an inning. This guy's a pitcher. But I think he'll get the job. It's just a question of when. Because Jeanmar Gomez, look, here's what managers do. They say, Jeanmar wasn't bad. He had 37 saves. He's my guy. But you know in your heart he's really not that good, but you got to give him the job because he earned it. But you know in the back of your mind, by June 1, this guy's not the closer. I know it. You know it. The only person who doesn't know it is Jeanmar Gomez. Now there's Joaquin Benoit. So, I think Neris could be the effector this year, the 2-inning guy. But keep your eye on Neris and Benoit. I'm not in on Jeanmar Gomez. The pitching staff, 5 guys, all of whom have upside. 4 guys I really like. 1 guy, not so much. And the 8th guy is Jeremy Hellickson. I just don't like him. Probably going to be the opening day starter. I just don't trust him. He was better last year, but he still lets up a lot of home runs. He still doesn't strike out that many guys. I think it's sometimes better to be lucky than good. Look at Jean-Marc Gomez. I don't think Hellickson's really that good. But he pitched well. Let him be the opening day starter, so when the number one starters go against each other, Hellickson against Kershaw, that's great. Bye. Because Aaron Nola is a really good number 2. He's a really good number 2. This is a guy with upside. This isn't a guy with an exciting skill set. He's 23 years old, throws really hard. His elbow, he dealt with some elbow issues, but those are things of the past. I like Nola a lot. I don't think he throws more than 160 innings. That's a concern, but I like Nola. Vincent Velasquez, another guy who can't throw more than 160 innings. But man, when this guy's good, he is dominant. He is dominant. He had a game last year. Yeah, April 14th, 9 innings, 3 hits, 16 strikeouts. May 17th, 5 innings, 3 hits, 10 strikeouts. I mean, this is the kind of strikeout numbers he can put up. I don't expect that every time out, but that's the kind of pitcher he is. So both these guys throw the ball very hard, and they're very good pitchers, but I don't think they can go more than 160 innings each. Jared Eichhoff, though, might hit 200 innings this year. I like him. He's got to do better against lefties, but I think there's potential here. I think that last year was his first real season in the majors, and I think there's room for growth here. If he learns how to pitch against a lefty, I think there's definite growth here. And Clay Buchholz, 32 years old, say what you want, and I'm going to look at his game log from last year. It started to get much better in the second half of the season. So I'm going to go from July 25th on. Actually, no, July 21st on. This is just the earned runs he let up. 0-3-1, 0-0-0-0-3-1-1, 0-1-1-1, 6-2-1-0. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. His ERA went from 5.84 to 4.78. Wasn't throwing a lot of innings. He was in the bullpen for a decent amount. But when he started, 6 innings, no earned runs, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 6-2. He had 1 bad outing. It's not a bad pitcher. We know what he's capable of when he pitched for the Red Sox. So I'm slightly intrigued by Clay Buchholz in the National League. I don't love him. But for $1 at the end of my draft, I'll take a shot. Got to lower his walks. He's in the National League. Everybody's ERA in the National League is better than it is in the American League. Everybody's whip is better. So I like the Phillies. I think that they need to get their young guys, Hoskins, Crawford, Nick Williams, Roman Quinn, Alfaro. It's almost time. It's almost time to bring these guys up. The pitching staff is getting closer. Herrera's a good player. Franco's a good player. They're close. Is it a great team? No. Is it a good team? Yes. A pretty good team. And I don't think they're good enough this year for a wild card spot. Give them a year. I would think 1 year more. One more good, solid growth year. And I think we could be looking at the Phillies as a wild card team beginning in 2018. But right now, I want you to put away the insurance cards and put away the copays. The office is closed, my friends. But before we close the office, you need to know about ScoutFantasy.com. You need to know about our MLB draft kit, right? Sean Childs' team outlooks, my podcasts, Adam Ronis' player profiles, my Fantasy in a Nutshell series, our scout scores, our message boards, high stakes winners, expert league winners, industry league winners. Doesn't get better than what we offer at ScoutFantasy.com. I want you to be a part of the Scout Army. I want you to be part of a winner. I want you to win. I do. I want you to win your fantasy baseball leagues and do it by being part of Scout. That's how we roll. We want you to win your leagues. All right, guys, back tomorrow doing more podcasts, more previews, more baseball. Have a great day. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!